Good morning. Welcome to News with a View. This is November 14th. This is episode 160. We're just going to cut right into there today. On my live feed, I will be fixing it. A little technical issue this morning because I was playing games. Well, today is Friday. Another fun-filled day of excitement coming from the Democrats. The Democrats totally screwed up the shutdown, and now their only place to go to is Epstein. Again, going to Epstein. Releasing, and no one's releasing. This is stuff that's been out there. They're just rehashing old stuff. That's all they have. I'm sorry you're having coffee today. My throat's bothering me. This guy's sick. But the idea that this is going to somehow distract the people from learning the truth about the shutdown and how it happened and why it happened and how it could have totally been avoided will come back to kind of haunt the progressives. They forced moderate Democrats to take a path they should not have taken. In a perfect world, each side could have sat down and worked out their differences. But that wasn't the case because we don't live in a perfect world. We have a Republican Party that sticks to the Constitution of the United States. We have a Democratic Party that some of them stick to the Constitution of the United States while the others want to abandon it and rewrite the Constitution. I don't know what they're thinking. It makes absolutely no sense. They're mad at capitalism. They're mad at people being successful and other people not being successful. And if we can't be successful, and this is Democrat thinking, then we can't have anyone be successful. Oh, except the ones that we want. I think it's time for America to really sit back, look, and go, this is not what we want. This is not how we were taught. And, you'll have Democrats scream, well, you were taught wrong. Yeah, we were taught wrong. We were taught to let criminals out of jail. We were taught to turn a blind eye when one person is racist and the other person just has to sit there and take it. That didn't work in the 1950s and 60s. We reversed all that. We stopped all that. And now the Democrats want to bring that all back up again. They want to browbeat anyone that does not think like them. You're a communist. No, you're not even a communist. You're a Russian. You're a fan of Putin. You're a homophobe. You're a transphobe. You're a racist. You're against women. And you go and you see women who vote for, let's say, a Muslim, and that Muslim might be a very good person, but their belief factor is, they say, oh no, women are regarded, or no, women have all the rights, and yet you look at the countries where they have fled from, or were removed from and placed here. And that's not the case. And we know this. You go to London, you go to all over Europe. There's parts of France that the police can't even go into because it's so hostile. London's the same way. New York will be that way too. So what they want to do is erode our way of life and install these other people's way of life. And that will make everything all right, because under Islam, the world won't be, you can't have happiness unless everyone is a Muslim. Yeah. Don't think so? Go ask a Muslim. Go ask someone that, and I'll tell you that they'll tell you exactly the same thing. That the world would be a lot better place if everyone was Muslim. So it's not an anti-Muslim philosophy. You can have your religion here. Absolutely. Absolutely, you could have your religion, but your religion stays in your religion. It doesn't encroach into the Constitution. There is a separation. And that separation is not that you can't have any religion, you just can't have a state-sponsored religion. Because that's why a lot of people broke away from England, because you had the Church of England. And people didn't like that. Even though you could say, well, you have the Holy Roman Empire, Catholic Church. But those values don't come into our play. Judeo-Christian values do. That have worked very well for us. But those are just the values. We don't go to the Bible to met out the punishment. The Democrats are just reaching. They are truly lost. You have AOC now outright going after Schumer and going after the moderate Democrats. So the gloves are off. She thinks she has Schumer on the rope, that she's going to be Senate. Or she has hopes to be Hakeem's replacement. Jeffries in the House of Representatives. He's gone. He's gone. He's been terrible. Just the fact, screaming things out during interviews, and then they're trying to rein him back in, and he's out of control. He's out of control. He's lost, and there doesn't seem to be any help for these guys. These guys are just finished. And a lot of Democrats are, sitting back and going, hey, we can't do this. And the radicals inside their organizations, the DNC, where's the DNC been? Well, what are they doing behind the scenes? You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to secure funding. And that's not working. That is not working for them. Whereas the GOP has more money than they ever have had in their coffers. And there's going to be a lot more. Because moderate and conservative Democrats are going to flee. They can't be part of this. They won't be part of this. And you'll have some of the diehard liberals, just like you have diehard Republicans that, will fight no matter what. And they don't care what the issues are. It's our party, right or wrong. 28, 30% of the votes go that way. Party line. And it's the 4 and 5% of the actual voters that you need to convert over. And I think that will happen. I think Donald Trump's said from 5 years ago what his plans were, and he's doing it. And anyone who voted for Donald Trump is saying he's doing what he said he was going to do. He's doing what I voted for him to do. Now, you might not have agreed with everything that was on his list, but you agreed with enough to say, yeah, I know he's not going to get that thing done, and that will never happen. And if it does happen, it's not that big of a deal. There were things that I said in the beginning right after his election and on January 20th when he gave his speech from the White House and started signing all the decrees and, executive actions, or, executive orders. And I said, that one will get hung up, that one will get hung up, that one will get hung up, that one will go with no problem, this will go with no problem. And I was pretty spot on. The only ones that I was a little surprised that the Supreme Court allowed him to do was, fire the top people in some of these administrations without a real defined cause, where normally the path would be that you notify the Senate that you're firing this person, and you give a cause, and that person then can go through the personnel division of the administration and go, no, I was doing my job. And they got a right to go to the Senate and go, I shouldn't be fired. I didn't do anything wrong. And that's the way it spelled out, that it had to be done if you were appointed by the president and then ratified through the nomination process through the Senate. The Senate has the responsibility to fire those people under the causes that can be done, and the president can act and fire the person, and that person then can go challenge that. And if the Senate doesn't agree with it, they get their job back. It doesn't happen often, but that was the nexus. It goes all the way back to the Humphreys executor of 1934, and the Supreme Court said no, Trump can do it. So that was one that kind of stung me. The other one that stung me was when he took away the funding for USAID. And normally there too, you have to give a notice to Congress, who's already approved that funding, that you can't pull back. That's approved. You can't halt it. You could pull it back, but you just can't halt it. You have to go put a freeze on it and go to Congress and say, this is why you can't do this. And then they go, no, we can do this. And then you could have your big argument. You just can't say stop. And he did that. And for the most part, he won it. He won it. And that's the problem that the Democrats have now found themselves faced with. Presidents could have always did this, but they didn't. They said, well, we have a precedent. And the real meat on this is it's a precedent. And is it enforceable when push comes to shove in the executive power, in the executive branch? And in reality, President Trump had nothing to lose by doing this, because if he lost it, it's just business as usual. But if he won it, well, then that's not business as usual. And he's got a little bit more power, and he won it. And as I've stated before, this is not a win or lose type of thing. Donald Trump has not expanded the power of the executive branch because it is all powerful, with the Constitution being the guardrails. What he's doing is defining it. And he's defining it, meaning the administration is defining it. And it's inside those guardrails still, but now it's very it's very well defined. Before it was you might, you could, you should, you won't. Now that's different. He's lost some, and which he absolutely should lose. The one that no one is talking about, and I thought it would have been settled, but with all this other nonsense going on, but I think by year's end, we're going to have a consensus on the 14th Amendment. And I'm going to tell you right now, liberals and some conservatives are not going to be happy with that outcome. I feel that President Trump will win that argument. And it's an argument that I think the Democrats want to have it and push it out there during the 2026 to say either we stopped it and we fought it and you know, we told the Supreme Court how we all felt about it, you know, and we put a stop to that. We protected. Or they lose it and they go, this is why we have to get back in time to stop this, to stop it. You know, and we can make an amendment that reinstates that and defines it. We'll give another amendment. So losing the 14th Amendment for the Democrats could be a very big influential win for them. Now, if they do not win 2026, which I don't see them winning it, and this goes, and then it goes to 2028, the fight's over. I think if Trump wins his 14th Amendment challenge on birthright, he's going to have the Republicans kill the filibuster. And then you could say that there is a power grab. But the power grab was because the Democrats didn't do their job. Democrats allowed their radicals to take over. Trump wasn't a radical in the sense of being a radical. Trump was an uber supporter of the Constitution. It had people that said, this is what the Constitution says, research, and this is what it means. And hey, we feel you have the power to do it. Let the Supreme Court tell us we can't do it. That's all. I apologize again for this. It's bad. So, the Democrats just holding on to the hope that they can get something out of Epstein, who's been dead for years, and Maxwell, who's been in prison for years. And all the information, anything that was out there has been out there. Any documents that the Department of Justice had were doctored by either both sides now. You want to be a conspirator and conspiracy theories about that? Both parties had their opportunities to do what they want with that. I don't trust anything that's written there now. You're having Bill Gates and well, Bill Gates didn't say it, but Clinton has stated emphatically he was never to the island, and yet they have logs of him all over the place. I think that the Democrats are in for a real shit show with opening up this can of worms. I would rather see the Democrats fight on real issues. Epstein is not a real issue. It's just not a real issue. Trump has never been part of that, other than him and a whole bunch of other people, Democrats and Republicans, used Epstein because he was very influential. He was a contact. He was a procurer. So, and I think Trump's feeling on why he doesn't want to do any of this stuff is because he says there's probably a lot of good people in there that are going to be hurt just by guilt by association. And, that's what the Democrats like to do. So, that'll be interesting. Well, I spoke 20 minutes on this issue. A little tabloid news reported that Jimmy Kimmel is leaving The Late Show. Not The Late Show, the Jimmy Kimmel Live. Late Show's already gone with Stephen Colbert. By May, he is gone. I say before May, he is gone. And Kimmel, they're saying he's so devastated by the death of his friend that he just doesn't feel he can go on. You believe that? I don't. And they should just come out and say, hey, you're costing us too much money. You're costing us too much legal trouble. Yeah, you're not worth it. You were worth it at one time. Oh, I'm sorry. But you're not worth it now. So they're kind of laying the foundation to get rid of Kimmel. So when it comes, it's not a total shock. Kimmel is having wifey problems to boot. I think he needs, he looks and he goes, I got to get my house in order too. I think his wife is a political nut. That, her family won't meet with her, and she won't meet with them because of her political views. I mean, we have it in my family too. They have their political views, but we try to keep it, for the most part, on the side. And every once in a while I bring it up, and my poor brother just goes, because it causes problems, and I'm sorry, but sometimes it's just going to come out. All right. Keeping this down to about 40 minutes today, if I can. We're already at 25 minutes. But, Comey and James, FBI Director, and Letitia James, Attorney General out of New York, have gone to the courts to ask that the charges be dropped and dismissed that the government has brought against them, due to the fact that the attorney for the state, for the federal government, was not appointed correctly. Not going to work. Very rarely ever works. Very rarely ever works. The case against them is going to continue. Comey lied to the Congresses. Letitia James, absolutely, they got the written documents, misrepresented her business transaction to secure funding through a government-insured agency. She had falsely put on other paperwork before that they can't go after, but it shows a pattern of being unethical. And I think they're going to get her. Now, New York might not say, hey, she has to leave, but I think, her ethics comes into question. Other things come into question. And she might be too much weight for Hochul to carry when she's fighting for her political life. So I see Letitia James exiting. Dying here. I didn't want to take any medication before the show. It just knocks me right out. And I don't need to be up here, blurry eye. So I'm going to be sniffling and just deal with it. But Comey lied, and they have it. McBride, they have everyone lined up. They know. And they'll get one of them in the FBI case. Someone lied, and I'm guaranteeing that it was probably Comey. And Comey's going to go down. Now, I don't know what they can really do to him other than call him a liar and discredit him. Which, we all know that Comey was used by Biden and Obama to try to topple Trump. So, this is all part of the case of them going after Trump politically to stop him from running for president. The first time and the second time. It will come out. Look at the stuff that's come out already in Georgia, Arizona, Michigan. We know that there has been problems. And what is interesting is the people that made the voting machines now sold that company to a staunch Republican who's going to take that thing apart and find out the truth. And being, with computers, there are always vulnerabilities. But were those vulnerabilities discovered by anyone else? And there's ways of tracing when things happen to see how they get into the system or how did this happen. Now, not to say that those machines weren't retweaked up, so who knows? But loose lips, it will happen. You'll get someone that's, brought in for questioning or deposed, and it doesn't add up to what someone else said. So one of you have this wrong. So let's find out which one of you are right and go from there. So I think that they're in big trouble. And the people that would love for that to happen would be Fox, who had to pay a huge fine. Not a fine, a settlement to end the litigation by the voting machine company, which I forget who. I'll remember it at the end of the show. Getting back to AOC calls out Schumer and the Democratic Party as being that it's just not Schumer that's the problem, it's the whole Democratic Party. She has the answer. Her and Bernie Sanders have the answer. Right? She has the answer. Well, when she can clean up her district, which has a disproportionate number of crimes to any other district in New York, maybe I'll listen to her. But she's had years to make corrections. And she didn't. She fought against Amazon opening up a huge regional center in Queens because they have the railroad yard there. They have everything in Long Island City. Spaces, empty buildings that could be converted over, and plenty of parking, plenty of transportation already in place for people to go to. And she killed that. Knowing her plan, their long-term plan, was to destroy New York City, ruin it financially, and bring in a socialist, Democrat, communist. This has been her plan. She hates America. All these people hate what you have and want to take it from you. Why are all these Democrats that are in New York now fleeing New York and going to red states? Because they have a system of government where the taxes are lower, crime is lower, crime is addressed. It's a somewhat lower cost of living. It's hard to say today, other than tax-wise, your tax burden. And these people are leaving, fleeing New York. And you have these Democrats fighting with Trump. Trump made a suggestion, and I made that suggestion years ago to the National Credit Union Administration. 50-year mortgages. Would make people be able to afford housing. I meant to do it, and while we're talking here, I'll go to all right, so we're going to try to go to a mortgage calculator, and we'll try to figure it out. So we're going to say, because the average median home is $470,000. And we're going to give it at a 7% rate. We're going to bring it up. Term 50. So with no money down, that's a $2,800 a month nut. Conventional wise, if we did a 30-year, that would go up to $3,120. Now, if you got that loan for 5% for 50 years, you would go down to about still 2,100. I don't think those terms would be lower than 4%. But you get down to $1,800 a month with proper terms. And that would make those houses affordable. The problem, I said, with housing is that you have to do so much more. There's taxes, there's maintenance, there's insurance, there's upkeep. So, but it puts people into houses. If you were to able, and that's going to $470,000 with no money down. That's, if you found a house for $250,000, which you could do today, at an interest rate of 6%, term 50 years. Your mortgage would be $1,300 a month, less than you're paying for rent in most cases. And if you wanted to go to $350,000, which you could certainly find a house for down here. And that brings you up to about $1,800 again. So it is very doable. Very, very doable. Versus, paying $2,700 a month. $1,000 a month cash difference in your pocket. Yes, you're going to pay, if you were to stay there for 50 years, you'll pay $1 million for that home. And if you stay 50 years in a rent apartment, you get nothing. So, I think this is a great way to go. It gives plenty of people options. And it puts people in housing and gives them, some roots to put down. It's a good deal. And you have, of course, people there going, no, it's a bad deal because you're taking these people out of the playing market. Not looking at the long term of the fact that they now might be able to buy a car with some of that savings, furniture, take a vacation with some of that money. So you have your people on the Democratic side that don't want you to own anything. They want the government to own everything so that they can be the ones to say, you do what we tell you to do and you can live here. You don't, well, you live out there somewhere. And that's what it's all about. It's all about control. It's all about control. All right, I'm going to finish this up so I can take medicine. AOC is after the moderates. AOC is after Schumer. Pelosi was protecting Jeffries. Can't do that now. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised in 2026 at how bad the Democrats are going to do. And I see the Democrats getting even more radical. And mostly if they put Raskin to run to be the leader in the House, which that's my prediction they're going to do. All right, everyone, be safe, be well. It's now 42 minutes into this program, and I'm going to get it out the door. Going to be very little programming end on the front of this, so I'm just going to push it out the door. You'd have to listen to it, and that's what you need to do. All right, give to a charity. Charity does begin at home. I get that. If you're not comfortable with giving to a charity, give to a food bank. Help people. Say a prayer. Prayer works, no matter what a Democrat might tell you. And with that, I'm going to fade to black and take medicine.